What's What's going on, Jets fans? Welcome back to another video here on Pig City Hockey. And today, everybody, we're going to be doing the first ever episode of the Winnipeg Jets fan mailbag. Now, if you don't know what that is, a mailbag is something where you basically a Q&A. I will, ask you guys for questions you have about a certain topic, and you guys will give your questions, and I will do my best to answer them and go over my thoughts as well, and just share the overall opinion that we have of the Winnipeg Jets. It's a very good way to get a collective a collective of opinions from different types of sources. So I will be always making posts on Twitter, Instagram, on the YouTube, through the community page and posts. So if you haven't already, follow me on Twitter, check out my Instagram. All the links are down in the description below so that you can participate in the next episode of this mailbag series. And without any further ado, I do want to say one quick thing. I haven't been posting that much content recently, and I'm not taking a break or going anywhere. It's just been the last couple of weeks of the summer, and I just want to really enjoy it and take a step back before my classes started, which they did this last week, I should say. And because of that, the season's starting soon. Preseason's right around the corner. I think we're like 20 days or something like that, maybe less than that away from preseason. So it's all coming very, very close. So I just wanted to take a little break before we jump into all this chaotic news that would be coming before the start of the 2021-2022 season, because we all know as Jets fans, there's a lot of hype coming up around this season. So with all that being said, let's jump into the first question we have today on the mailbag, and that is from Owen Looney. Now, Owen Looney says, who gets the third spot on the third line this year? Vesa, Harkins, or another? Now, that's a very interesting question, and is a question that's been asked a ton by lots of different fans. Recently, the Winnipeg Jets were able to go out and sign Evgeny Svechnikov from Detroit, their RFA, who they did not tender a contract to a AHL level contract, with the hope of them being able to get him on a PTO and signing him to an NHL level contract. As it stands right now, Svechnikov can only play for the Moose. I guarantee you that is not the Jets' plan, that they want to have this guy potentially on the roster maybe, and I think because of that, there could be a very good battle with a lot of younger players to come in and fill the roles. With Matthew Pirogon, us not tendering any contracts to Trevor Lewis, Nate Thompson, there's a lot of opportunity. The only real kind of fourth line veteran plug, even though he's not really a plug because he actually brings some good defensive skill, is Riley Nash, that was signed to that 1-year deal. And I think Riley Nash being a good fourth line winger to play defense with Gustafsson coming in on that third line kind of hammers it out. So I think there's a lot of room for actually both Vesalainen and Harkins to somehow make the Jets bottom six. I don't know exactly where right now. If you're asking me, I bet Vesa would be the guy on the third line and Harkins would be more of that fourth line energy player. But as it stands right now, I think honestly all of those guys will probably make the team coming into preseason and most likely to start this coming up season. Now the next question we got is coming from Jetta Jets fan. He says, how many games will Hellbuck play this year if Comrie is our backup? Now this is a very interesting question because a lot of Jets fans, again, like myself, are concerned about Eric Comrie being the backup. Not because Eric Comrie is some absolutely, young rookie player who you have no idea what it is and there's all this uncertainty. It's because Eric Comrie actually has not had a lot of success at the NHL level. Now I know a lot of people want to give him a chance, and I think that is honestly respectable, but as it stands right now, I don't want to be giving a young, unproven goaltender a chance to be a backup when we're in a year to win a Stanley Cup. It's nothing against Eric Comrie, it's about assembling the best team required to win this cup with the roster we have assembled. So I think honestly, if Eric Comrie is our backup this year, I think that Hellbuck could easily play 50 games. When you go back and look at the year he won the Vezina, if I'm not mistaken, the banner hanging right up there, I believe he played off the top of my head, I believe it was almost like 50-something games, almost 60 games, which is crazy to think about. And that was when we had Laurent Brossoit as a backup goaltender, who was actually very capable. So I don't know. I would probably get at least 50 games. Also, Connor Hellebuyck is one of those goaltenders who functions best with a high workload. I'm not saying it's good for being burnt out in the playoffs because we don't want that to happen, obviously. But I still think that could easily be the number right around 50 games played. Now, this is coming from Proud Zuxby. Excuse me if I butchered your name, dude. You guys know how I am with pronunciations. But either way, he comes out and says, would you put Stanley or Hernola in the last spot on the blue line? Now, I think you guys are going to know exactly who I'm going to say here, and it might be a little controversial, but frankly, I don't care because it's my opinion, and you're allowed to have a different one. I think Ville Heinola is, without a doubt, the best Jets prospect that they have right now, next to, obviously, Cole Peretti, because he's obviously an offensive gem who could probably make the league right now, but Ville Heinola is, without a doubt, NHL ready. Last year, Ville Heinola thrived in every single level of hockey he played, from the World Juniors to the AHL and everything in between. I think the kid has earned at least a good look. Look at him, even with the 8 games he played with the Winnipeg Jets in his rookie season. The guy has earned a chance, and obviously Logan Stanley brings size to this blue line, but I feel like Ville Heinola's potential is just far superior to what Logan Stanley will be. Logan Stanley, I know he's big, and you might see some potential in the guy, but he has done absolutely nothing to prove to me that he is a great defensive prospect for us to have. He played extremely sheltered minutes with one of the most defensive defensemen in the NHL, and Dylan DeMello, and they only played 10 minutes a game. When you're playing 10 minutes a night as a rookie with one of the best top 5 defensive defensemen in the NHL, I don't think you should really, be warranted as an amazing rookie, because because let's be honest, he didn't do much. He was really invisible for a lot of games other than when he had a couple fights and some big hits until that playoff game where he had those 2 goals, and that's when everyone loved and fell in love with him. I'm not saying Logan Stanley is bad, but Ville Heinola, if I was the coach, would be the guy who I'm putting in that last roster spot this season. Next up, we got a comment from Noah Lafort. Excuse me if I butchered that name again, but either way, he says, do you think Peretti will make this team? If so, what line and with who? Now, honestly, this is a very interesting question. I cannot predict where Peretti will play. If you're asking me personally, for purposes of trying to win right now, I think potentially playing Stastny at the 3rd line, moving Lowry down, and not because Lowry's a 4th line guy, but loading the team up with as much depth and equal playing time as possible with some youth like Peretti could be very valuable. So I would say that there is a good chance Peretti will make this team. Whether or not he sticks with the team will depend on how well he plays within his first 8 games or whatever it is that the entry-level deal is on with the before it burns. So I think that will happen. I think he makes this team. I don't know how long he stays with the team, though. Pumbaa asks, what do you consider to be a successful season for Dubois? Now, this is a very interesting question. You guys know how hard I've been on Pierre-Luc Dubois, and it's not because I think he's an absolute bum. It's just because I still don't like that Laine trade for him, and it's not because I think Laine is some amazing god player, even though I do think he is an elite talent. It's because Dubois really just never fit in with his team. He never meshed, and in the playoffs, he looked like an absolute slug, and it was disgusting to watch, in my opinion. And we traded for this guy to be center depth, and he was absolutely nothing of that, and I obviously know the injuries and quarantine with COVID coming in was a huge, huge issue, and I'm not downgrading any of those reasons for him to have a bad season, but he really needs to bounce back this year for me to see that trade being warranted, especially because we gave up Jack Roslovic, who had a pretty damn good year with the Columbus Blue Jackets. So I think, honestly, for Dubois, I want to see him have at least 15 goals and probably 40 assists, something like that. I don't know. I want to see him get at least, I would say, 60 points. I would say a 60-point season from Pierre-Luc Dubois would be warranted of that Laine deal, because at least Patrick Laine, even in his worst year, was able to get 30 goals, not counting, obviously, Columbus last year. I'm talking about Winnipeg Jets only. So if you have a guy in his worst year that can still get you 30 goals, I think that's 30 points, right? Without the assist, you need at least a 60-point season, I think, out of Pierre-Luc Dubois as a center to prove that he is that number 2 guy that we need behind Scheifele to really make us a deep center. And honestly, a really powerhouse team with the center core that they've been trying to get for so many years. Now, Always Bar Down asks, who do you think will lead the Jets in points and goals? Now, this is a very interesting one. I am going to go out and say that next year, this coming up season, the Winnipeg Jets' best offensive player will be Nikolai Ehlers. We saw a lot of growth and amazing, amazing games from Nikolai Ehlers last season. Just against Canadian teams, he thrived, and I really think this year, with the league talent that is out there and how he plays and how he can just expose a defense and an offense, even with how good his speed is in the transition game, I really think Nikolai Ehlers is poised to have a real breakout year where he is an all-star, and I think Nikolai Ehlers will be, without a doubt, the most effective and efficient Winnipeg Jet forward for goals and most potentially points as well. Now, Boyd Aerospace asks, is the defense good enough to win a cup, or, go on a cup run, either way, win a cup? And I say yes. This is without a doubt the best Winnipeg Jets built team ever assembled, in my opinion. Now, I know what you might be thinking, Jake, we haven't seen them play yet, and 2017-18, we went to the Western Conference Final. It's the best we've ever done in history of the Winnipeg Jets, even going back to 1.0, and all that stuff. How could you say that? When I look at this team, personally, as a guy with a hockey mind and how I believe the hockey should be built as a modern-day GM and all of that, the Jets, currently, what Cheveldaev has done, the acquisitions he's made to bring in talent on the defense and also the forward core that we have, I think that this is the best team ever assembled that the Jets have had. And I definitely think the defense is good enough for a cup run. When you have a top 6 consisting of guys like Brendan Dillon, Nate Schmidt, Josh Morrissey, Neil Pionk, Dylan DeMello, and potentially either Logan Stanley, Ville Heinola, and not to mention, even though he was horrible with an increased role, Nathan Beaulieu was very respectable in limited minutes playing for us in the past. There's a reason why he was signed to that contract. He wasn't terrible until Paul forced him to be a number 1 pairing guy. So when you look at the Jets' defense, every single one of the guys that they have is a guy I trust. Maybe they don't have an elite player like a Dustin Byfuglien, but when you have all consistent two-way defenders like that can all mesh and play together, hopefully based off the play styles we've seen from their past, I think that this defense is the best assembled just off of paper. We'll have to wait and see how it plays together, and obviously if Nate Schmidt can bounce back from that horrible year he had with Vancouver, even though I strongly think he can based off of what I saw last year with Vancouver and how they used him. As a guy who lives out in Vancouver, I watched a lot of him, so I think that yes, this team and this defense is good enough to go on a deep cup run. Now, I'm going back to another question asked by Always Bar Down. He says, where do you think the Jets will end up in the Central? And a couple other people have asked this question as well about where do you think the Jets will place. And I'm going to say that the Jets this year, based off of everything in the Central Division, how deep it is, the teams around them, Colorado, and even Chicago getting Marc-Andre Fleury, Seth Jones, even though it's a bad contract, is still a good get for a team trying to improve. I think that there is a lot of good teams in the Central this year, and Minnesota is also a wild card. They could either be better than what they were last year or digress a little bit. We don't know yet. So I'm going to say right now that the Jets will will probably end up, I would say, second, maybe in the Central. That's what I believe. I think they're going to shock some people with how good they really are against teams in the Central, and I think that will probably be a good area between second and probably first place. I think they could get third. Either way, I do not see them dropping out of the top 3 within the Central Division this year. All right, now Winnipeg GZ asks, what is the meaning of life? Now, I can't help you with that one. All I'm going to tell you is hockey is a pretty damn good thing to have in life, so, enjoy it while you can. Enjoy life and enjoy sports and enjoy whatever makes you happy. I think that's honestly the meaning of life. Doesn't matter what you do, what you spend your time doing, as long as you have a smile on your face and you're enjoying your time, I think that that's the meaning of life. Just enjoying every second that we have on this planet, regardless of what other people think of what you're doing. Obviously, I'm not talking about crime and stuff, but you know exactly what I'm saying. If you're happy in life, I think that's the meaning of life. Just trying to strive to be happy and have a smile and, not worry about all the things in life that, we have to deal with, taxes and jobs and all that. If you can find some joy in life, I think that's a pretty good meaning to have within your life and something to strive for. And we're going to end this off with a comment from Instagram coming from Rye. Okay, I'm not going to attempt Rye. I'm just going to call you Ryan, even though I probably know that's not your name. But either way, what are your predictions for the 2021-2022 season? Now, honest to God, my predictions going in, as a fan, as someone who's looked at every move they've made, analyzed it, looked at the cap and everything, I think that the Winnipeg Jets this year will be a top team in the league. I think they will be at least top 5 within the entirety of the NHL. I think that the Winnipeg Jets will either win the Central or come very close to it like they did in 2017-18. And I think that this is a year where we will see another Western Conference Final appearance. And I think that this is the year that the Winnipeg Jets can potentially push to make an appearance at the Stanley Cup. Whether or not they win it is completely based off who they play and how the playoffs go from that point. But as it stands right now, as a fan of this team, as someone who's seen all the moves they've done, comparing it to everything else the Jets have done in the past, the rosters they've had and whatnot, I think that this is the Jets' best chance since relocating back from Atlanta to Winnipeg, and I think that this will be the Jets' best year to prove themselves to the NHL and to the hockey world that they can be taken seriously and that they can be a legit contender and not a one-off that made the Western Conference Final a few years back and has struggled to really make any foothold in the playoffs, minus last year getting to the second round. So I do see a potential Stanley Cup Final appearance in the future for this upcoming season. Now, I'm not going to get this video going much longer. We've already talked a lot, and a lot of your questions were similar, so I tried to just pick out the ones that, made the most sense and kind of captivated all the other questions that were asked. So if your question didn't get answered, specifically, I hope that your, broader question did. So with all that being said, make sure to go on this video right now and comment any questions you have going into the lineups for the Winnipeg Jets. I would love to see your guys' projected lineups. We're going to be doing a lineup video very, very soon in the next coming up week. So comment all of your guys' potential lineups, and I will compare all of your lineups with what I think my lineup should look like. I would love to see that. That will be coming up next week, so it won't be a mailbag episode, but I will still incorporate all of your guys' feedback and thoughts and all of your answers to this question in that video. So with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Peace, love, and positivity to all you beautiful people out there in the world. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to check out all my other affiliated links down in the description below. Have a great rest of your day. I will see you guys very, very soon, and more importantly, go Jets, go!